So in the first video, I showed you how you can create or define fees, the different kinds of fees. Now let's look at how you can specify how much is payable per fee. So to do that, you go to this part here that says fee amounts. Now before I go to the fee amounts, we have some other menu items here. You have this one called accounts. Now this is something that you may, for now, we're not really going to work with directly because it is used for these other kinds of transactions. For instance, if you receive some money from the government, it's a grant, or you had a fundraising bribe, or just somebody makes a donation, right? Where would you record that amount? So here you can create accounts for different kinds of monies that come into your school or into your institution. And for each fee that you create, automatically an account is created for that particular fee, so that you can actually track all the monies that are going into that particular account. And you can see here I created an account called NIF, so that means that if we got some money under this grant, then we'll record it there. You can create other kinds of accounts. Now you don't need to manually create accounts for fees. Like I said, when you create a fee there, automatically an account is going to be created. And you can see here there's an account for grade 7 exam fee, and this would allow you to generate e-statements that would show you how much money has come into the grade 7 exam fee. Okay, and the same thing can happen if you want to track how much has been coming or going out of PTA funds or school fees. If you want to track how you've been using the school fees, you can actually use this account. So this is the purpose of accounts. You do this, you create a new account if it's something that is not a fee. Okay, then you can simply click new and then you can add. So for now we're going to skip it because we're not going to be dealing with transactions. We're going to come back to this when we start doing issues of transactions. The other menu item here is the fee categories. Now fee categories are relevant if you want to create distinctions between your students. So you might have, let's say, grade 7s. Okay, so you have grade 7s in your class, and some of these grade 7, well, it could be just all the pupils, but here let's take the example of grade 7s. You might want that for example, for your project fee, there could be others that are less privileged. So if you say that your project fee, everybody is supposed to pay 700, you might say, for those that are less privileged, we'll be letting them pay 500 instead of the 700 there. So then you can create a category here and say, I'm creating a category called less privileged, and then when you define amounts for those particular fees, you can specify how much is payable by those who are less privileged. And that would also mean that you'd have to go to enrollment and specify which pupils actually have this category called less privileged. I also created just an example here of something called early comers. Okay, transport maybe shouldn't even be there, because transport, you can define this as a fee, and then you can specify these different categories to say those who live, for example, in this distance from, so transport would be a fee, so you'd create this under fees, not here under categories. But then the categories here would be, you say, for all pupils that live within the distance of 10 to 15 kilometers, we're going to be charging them 500 kwacha per term for the transport fee. Okay, so this is how you use categories there, but you don't have to define your fees here as categories. I've seen some schools where the same fees that they've defined there, then they also define them as category. You're not supposed to do that. Only define categories when you're creating distinctions on amounts that will be payable by pupils for the same fee. Like I've given an example here of transport. You can put different categories depending on the distance, the proximity distance. And then also, even on the school fees, you might say we have some pupils that are less privileged, or those maybe that are sponsored by these special organizations. We give them a special fee instead of letting them pay the same amount as everybody else. Okay, so this is where the categories come in. And to create a category is the same thing. You just click new, then you type the category name. Okay, so let's say I create a category called distance 10 to 15 kilometers. That would be a category. I can create another category. I say new, and then I say those who live between 5 kilometers to 10. I update. So you can go on like that, and then maybe we can just say another category. This is still, so these categories I'm defining will be under the transport fee, and I'm going to remove this thing called transport because it doesn't make sense there. Transport should be a fee on its own. If you're a school that is managing, that has these transport facilities for your students. So I can create another one called more than 15 kilometers. This is up to you how you can define it. So I can delete. If you want to delete, just click delete, and then you'll be asked to confirm. I'll say okay. All right. So I have removed those things. So now that we have these categories, in the next video I'm going to show you how we can actually define amounts. Okay. So I'm trying to keep this video short. So here we've just covered fee categories, how you can define them, and we've given an example of the transport fee categories. So in the next video now, I can show you how to create these fee amounts.